Hello and good evening. Welcome everyone to Ask Me Anything with the Baltimore WordPress Meetup group. This is our Ask Me Anything for February 13th, 2024. At the end of this recording video will be the slides and video links so that you can get any of the links that were shared in the chat at the very end of it. Recordings are typically available in about 2 weeks or so. The Baltimore WordPress Meetup is an informational meetup. Please use the information, products, services that we show at your own risk. Just because we are showing a website, plugin, theme, etc., is not an official WordPress endorsement of it. As always, keep it family friendly. Many of us are attending on Zoom from home. Our community standards that we do our best to follow. We're going to try and follow the WordPress official guidelines for community standards. That means if you break these guidelines, I will boot you from the meeting. No spamming or spammer-like behaviors. We have people of all different skill levels and backgrounds, so no judgment for people who are at a different level than where you are at. And of course, don't be a jerk. Our sponsor thank yous. Thank you to the following sponsors. Enfira LLC. Enfira helps companies serious about their WordPress development needs. They specialize in helping agencies and businesses that have been frustrated by their WordPress challenges to solve those. For more information, or if you need help, visit enfira.com/help. Our next thank you is to the Easy Alley Guide. The Easy Alley Guide works to make web accessibility easier to implement through done-for-you processes and tools. For more information on web accessibility, including tools, tutorials, and more, please visit easyalleyguide.com. Our final sponsor thank you is OB Digital Consulting. OB Digital Consulting sponsors our video recordings and prepares them for YouTube. Contact them for assistance with video production. Some quick admin before we get started on the questions. We will be using the chat to queue people up and for quick questions. So find your Zoom chat, open your Zoom chat. Everyone starts out muted. And if it's your particular turn, then I will call on you to unmute. You don't have to unmute if you don't want to. We will start with the people who have pre-submitted their questions. So if these people are here, I want you to type here in the chat. Doug, Linwood, Adria, Jean, Ennis, Nina, James, Samuel, and G. If those people are here, make sure to type here in the chat. And then we'll get started with your questions first. After we do the pre-submitted questions, those people, then we will move on to taking open questions from the chat. When we do open questions from the chat, you can either write out your question in the chat or just put a question mark if you would like to speak your question. As always, if we want to discuss or show any specific websites, those websites need to be basically G-rated and family-friendly. All right, our first two questions are James and Jean and Doug. So Doug is the first one up. Doug pre-submitted the question, what is the best way to encrypt the WordPress database ID and password in the wp config.php file? The general best practice, oh, it's a different Doug. Okay, well, I'll quick answer it anyway. The general best practice is to have your WP config file actually outside of your main htdocs or public directory, but that is not available with all hosting companies. All right, next up is Jean. Jean pre-submitted the question somewhere. There it is. How to make buttons accessible? Where are the hover and focus settings? Well, it depends a whole lot on what theme and page builder you are using. So Jean, if you want to unmute and tell us about your situation.
Hi. Yeah, I'm just looking at the core, the basics 2023, 4, whatever number we're on, the latest number, 2024. And I would have thought that in the style guide or in the button settings for the blocks, that would be like a basic thing to have the 3 states. You know.
Those are normally handled by your theme. They are not normally an actual setting on buttons, because it's best if things like hover and focus are just across all of the buttons for the site.
Okay, and so since 2024 does not come with that capability of setting states for the buttons, then I would have to look for another theme.
You'd either need to look for another theme or add your own custom CSS to handle that if the theme is not taking care of it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next up is James. And James, it looks like you pre-submitted your question, how to make your site look presentable. That's a little too generic a question, so I'm going to need you to unmute and give us some more context.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I feel I'm just starting using WordPress, so I'm not a web developer. I think what it was in the beginning is that I didn't think I could afford one, so I just decided to try to figure it out myself. But I'm starting to get stuck, and so that's why I kind of reached out to the WordPress Meetup group. But when I say presentable, I've tried like different themes, but I'm not sure if that's helping actually. Maybe like somebody in here, I could do like a maybe private mentorship or something, but I can show you guys what it looks like. I'm trying to make a membership site. So I want to try to teach people how to do, I'm professionally a technical writer. So I've been developing curriculum, and I'm using the it's MemberPress is the plugin or whatever, the attachment. And so I'm able to kind of like figure out the MemberPress component, but it's like the home page and the sign up. It's like I can't figure out how to like make it look like a normal website, I guess is my problem.
Okay. So what theme are you using?
I think I honestly can't remember the name of the theme.
Okay. Well, for general, as far as if you want to get an actual, get someone on call to come take a look at your website and walk through it and go through the back end with you and do all of that stuff.
I would be interested in that. I mean,
Yeah.
I would be probably even to like.
I have WordPress consults that are available, and you can just pick an available time slot and book them.
Off of this link that you put in the chat?
Yes. And then I can go, I typically can go through and help you through your site and kind of walk you through everything back there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right. Next up, Doug, did you have a question? Otherwise, if people have a question, either put your question into the chat or put a question mark into the chat, and then you can speak your question. Yes, I'm not really sure exactly what your name is.
Hi, my name is Lainey.
Lainey. All right.
Yes, I'm new to your meetup. I'm glad I'm here. I have a blog that I've written, just as a creative self-expression and to share information. So it's not for profit, but I like it. I like to keep learning to make it look better and be more useful. So that's why I'm here. And I just put out a post I don't quite understand why I posted one photo and it appears twice. It appears
It's
above.
your theme. So what happens is if you set a photo to be the featured image, then some themes will actually display it twice.
Oh, okay. I'll take down featured image. I'll uncheck featured image and that'll fix it.
Yes, frequently there's quite a few themes that I've seen which have that what they do is they take the featured image and then they duplicate it again inside the post. Now, sometimes there is a setting somewhere in the theme settings which allows you to remove that duplication. But you just have to look into the various settings for your theme, but it is the featured image.
Okay, so I can go back into that post in the dashboard and and unclick featured image in that
Yes.
post. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. The other question I have is I take pictures with my iPhone and it's not JPEG.
They are stored as HEIC format, and they can't be uploaded directly to WordPress in that format. So typically what you can do is you can send them to your computer, and then you can, on your computer, save them as a JPEG.
So I appreciate that information. Is it the same thing as when I send it to my computer? I see it in downloads because I do yeah, I send it the way it appears in downloads. Then I go to the name of it. It says .hei whatever.
Yep, HEIC.
I just change it.
Open? Yeah.
JPEG.
No, you have to open it. Do you have a Mac?
I do.
So you can open that photo in the application preview, and then once it's open in preview, you can click on File, and you can click on Duplicate. When it duplicates, it will make a copy of the image. Then you can do that one and do a save that and choose what file format you want to save it as, and you can save it as a JPEG.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot. That's more steps, but I can tell you that I've been doing what I told you I would, what I told you. And those pictures are showing up on my blog. I just don't know if the quality is okay or if there's a problem with that. I can certainly do what you just described, but I just change it. And then WordPress will take it. So if WordPress takes it, you know, in my kind of clumsy way of changing it, if WordPress takes it, then should I assume that it's okay?
It's probably okay. It's probably just a little larger than it needs to be, but it's probably fine.
Larger meaning takes more
It just
storage.
takes up more file space. It can result in people who are having slower speed internet connection that the images take longer to load.
Okay, so it'd be much better. Can I repeat what you said?
Yep.
You open the photo on your computer,
In preview.
and then you go to File, Duplicate, and save it as a JPEG.
Correct.
Wow, you've answered 2 questions that would have taken me forever to figure out.
Well, that's what these are for.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. James got back to us, and he's apparently using the Veranda Vision theme. Let's take a look. Just seeing if I can find this theme quickly. All right. It's an unparalleled. Wow, that is a very thin font. Makes it very difficult to read. So it looks like it's a standard classic theme. They use a number of things in the customizer to handle layouts. If you haven't already gone into Appearance Customizer, then that's where a lot of things are going to be hiding in this particular theme for adjusting how the website looks. So it looks like it has some customization options, but you need to do everything inside of Appearance Customize. And they also do support the block editor, which can allow you to build out some page contents with the block editor. All right, Diana asked a question. Is it
Hi.
Hi, Diana. Let me just read over your question. Is it common practice to allow comments to be made without registration, and how best to protect from spam outside of reviewing before posting? So it is quite common to allow comments to be made without registration, and most of the time people don't want anyone to be registering on their site, as that can start to allow people to have certain permissions on your site, which is not good. So most people allow comments without registration. One of the simplest ways to help reduce spam is to remove the website URL field from your post, so that when there's the comment form, it doesn't actually have a website URL. Most of the bots are trying to get that field filled in, and so they may actually completely skip your site if that field's not available. The next,
How would you make it not available?
you'll either need to do it via a PHP function or by customizing the comment form. There may also be plugins to do it. I write PHP, so I customize it that way.
Okay, so
Then some additional methods are using some different plugins. I have had good success with anti-spam bee. With this anti-spam bee plugin, it has worked out well for me for a number of simple websites. You basically just install it and you're done. As Eagle mentioned, there is also Clean Talk, which is a service. It is a paid service, but it's quite inexpensive. It's only a couple dollars a year. So Clean Talk is also available as an option. Normally I start with anti-spam bee and see if that will take care of it.
what about that Akismet or whatever?
I haven't found it to be any better than anti-spam bee, and it requires more setup.
Okay, all right, because I think that's what I
It
had
is
on there.
auto-installed by WordPress, but you have to have an API key in order to use it. The anti-spam bee, you just install it and you're done.
Okay, I think I might have the key. I'll have to double check. So if I have that already in place, that should be fine.
Generally it is, yes.
Okay, so it's not any better or worse than the spam, the bee. Okay, so what am I trying to get out of the comment? The name of my website?
There on the comment form, there is a URL field.
Okay,
You want to remove that URL field from the comment form. That
okay.
helps to discourage a number of bots.
And if I'm using like WP forms, is there a way to remove it through that, like a custom
I
form?
don't believe that WP Forms allows you to override the comment form.
Okay,
So you can see here, this is my blog, and you'll see how it has a comment, a name, and an email, but there's no URL field. So I've removed the URL field because it doesn't. Removing it, I've found, significantly reduces the number of bots who try to make comments. All right. Did we have any additional questions from the chat? If you have a question, remember that you can put a question mark into the chat, or you can just write out a short question. Yes, Lenny.
Oh, thank you again.
Yes.
Gosh, I was so concentrating on putting that question mark. Yes, I write a food blog, and I went out to see about recipe cards. I thought, well, it'd be really nice if instead of my text, I could make it look like a recipe card, and then people would just print the recipe. But I couldn't find any that were free, and I do this on my own time with no compensation from any companies. So I'm looking for a recipe card add-on, plugin, or whatever you call it that's free. Do you know of any?
I don't. I would check the main WordPress.org. There's a recipe card blocks for Gutenberg and Elementor. Seems to have relatively decent ratings.
Oh, how do I find that, did you say? Where do I go?
You just go to the wordpress.org/plugins.
Okay. And search there like you just did for recipe card, and those would be free.
Yes, everything in the this WordPress repository is free to download. There are some things within the WordPress repository which require license keys or connections to third-party services, which would be paid. It does not look like this particular one has any required payments or anything like that.
So even though I have the free blog form, total free. I don't pay WordPress anything.
Mhm.
So I go to like Jetpack, or
Oh,
it says
if you are using the free thing from WordPress.com, you do not have access to any plugins.
okay, so I couldn't use Anti-Spam Bee or Clean Talk or this
Nope.
rest.
Nope, none of that is available on their free plan. You have to be on a paid plan that includes plugins.
What is the cheapest paid plan? It looked like it was like $300 or something. So I said, forget it.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can quick look.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I'm apparently logged in. There it is.
so for Jetpack, I had to be paying
Yes.
$48 a year. I guess.
See everything in starter. Here, install plugins and themes. This is their $25 per month, $300 per year.
Yeah, 300 a year. Okay.
This is why a lot of people go to WordPress.org, which is self-hosted, and go with some inexpensive hosting accounts.
So I never knew the difference when I started this blog in 2009, and over the years I on and off work on it. So I'm on WordPress.com, but I should have been on WordPress.org because it would be less expensive.
Well, when you were on WordPress.com and it was free, it was obviously very inexpensive. You know, even on their starter plan, it's still very expensive and far more reliable than anything out in the hosting world that you would be getting for $4 a month. But once you start wanting more things and want to do more things, then so WordPress.com includes a whole bunch of infrastructure and whatnot that many of the less expensive hosting companies do not. But you have to go up to creator, entrepreneur, or more in order to be able to do your own add-ons and whatnot.
So
So either you can
Mhm.
get an account with someone else and set that up yourself and maintain that yourself, or you can continue with WordPress.com, pay them a little more, and they take care of most of that IT stuff for you. So there's pluses and minuses.
It's interesting that .com, why the .org was designed for people, for what you're saying, that want to do more on their own and don't want to use so much of WordPress's created service. And so the people with .org, okay, go out and hire just what they want if they can't figure it out themselves. And so it saves them money. Is that what?
The .org is your own install and you can do whatever you want with it.
Oh,
The WordPress.com is the world's largest multi-site network, and they manage it for you. But with that management, there is a restriction on what you can and can't do.
so I can't go to WordPress since I'm on .com. I can't use unless I pay $25 a month. I can't use their recipe card, and I couldn't find any recipe card elsewhere. So
Correct. You are limited to what is included with their system.
I thought I could do the following. I could make a recipe card that's not designed for WordPress. It's just, you go out online, you can put things into a recipe card format and then take a picture of it or a screenshot of it and put that up.
Yes, but then it is not responsive and it doesn't provide equal access for everyone. Google can't read it and other things like that.
Oh, thank you for telling me. That's very valuable. Thank you so much.
All right. Doug put a question in the comments on decorative images to have alt equals quote, quote, or just the word alt. Doug, either will pass most of the online checkers. Either is legal, but some of the online checkers and some of the automated checkers may not pass both. They should always pass alt equals quote, quote. James asked in the chat Is there any obvious way to determine if we are using WordPress.org or .com? James, most people are using WordPress.org and self-hosting unless you specifically go to WordPress.com and that's where you log in and manage everything. You are on WordPress.org. If you got your hosting from GoDaddy, you are definitely on WordPress.org. Okay, do we have any other questions for this evening? Paula, issue with a featured image not always showing up. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Paula?
So I host for GoDaddy, and recently, I mean, when I'm trying to post something, it seems like the featured image disappears from the side. It takes like sometimes like 30 minutes of me logging off and then logging back off and on, sorry, and then it shows up.
It is a caching issue then. So different websites have different caches, and what happens is there's usually somewhere in the back end where you can specifically say to clear the cache. It depends
Okay.
on exactly which type of hosting account you have with them, but that is almost always a cache issue. And so you need to look for a way to clear the cache.
Okay, I have a cPanel account with them.
Yes. So again, it depends on exactly how that particular website is set up, but it is something with their cache set up and getting that cache cleared.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that.
Diana asks, how best to test a new theme in a staging area? That again depends on your hosting. If you have a cPanel setup, you will most likely need to create a subdomain on your cPanel and then set up WordPress on that subdomain. If you are using a different sort of panel system within, they may or may not have a staging type function depending upon your plan level. The best thing to do normally is to contact your hosting support to find out where your staging is. Some hosting supports have a whole help doc section where they have help documentation, and you can just do a search there and they'll tell you how to set up a staging on their system. Bluehost has notoriously bad hold times, so that can be a real challenge. As Eagle commented, there is a newer system called InstaWP, which has a whole option to make it a little bit easier to spin up a really fast staging site. And so that may help you get your staging set up and going. And it looks like ZipWP might also offer that as well.
Great, thank you.
Yep. All right. Linda posted a question. Where can I go to learn more about how to tackle the back end of WordPress? Linda wants to learn more about how to build, how to edit, and how to use Elementor. So YouTube is honestly a great place to go. There are a ton of Elementor tutorials all over YouTube. I can also dig up a Facebook group for you as well that may help you out. This is a group of people who are primarily web developers, and they're at different knowledge levels, and they can be helpful in kind of aiming you and helping with some problem solving. And I know that some people in the group do use Elementor. Paula asked that she has issues with a 503 error. That is a server error when trying to make changes on the back end of the WordPress site. I'm going to tell you that it's probably a hosting issue. Almost always 503 errors are an issue with the hosting company that you are working with. GoDaddy is notorious for them.
Thank you, because I am with GoDaddy and I've been wondering if they're the cause. So thank you so much.
They likely are the cause, yes. All right, I think I am caught up on the questions in the chat. Were there any additional people who had questions this evening? Otherwise, Outside of our meetup times, we have a meetup page, and it has more information about our meetup group and also about getting help at times outside of meetups. Our next scheduled meetup is February 28th. It will be at a different time slot, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, and it is Introduction to Web Accessibility, all about learning about web accessibility for people who are not super familiar with it, and sometimes it's even educational for people who are somewhat familiar with it. On March 12th, we will have a Google Business Profile Q&A. A friend of mine runs a business, and her entire business is setting up people's Google business profiles and optimizing them and getting people actually found on Google search. So we will be having a Q&A with her all about Google Business Profile. And at the meetup group on the RSVP page, we do have a form where you can pre-submit your questions. We have one final question from the chat. Any suggestions for a WordPress theme for a membership website? It truly depends on the criteria you have for that membership website. There are many different membership plugins that are available, and different ones are suited better for different use cases. And depending on which plugin you go with, that may affect which theme is a better choice for you. So unfortunately, that is not a short question to answer. James commented that he is using MemberPress. MemberPress actually plays well with most all-purpose themes that don't try to do too much. Some of the themes that try to do a lot can cause problems with MemberPress, but most of the ones that are relatively simple are pretty easy to use. Yes, I have used MemberPress before in the past. All right, I think that wraps us up for this evening. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We have our 2 meetups coming up shortly for the accessibility and the Google Business Profile. And then our next Ask Me Anything will be in April, and it's not scheduled yet, but it should be towards the beginning of April. So I hope everyone has a good evening.